Welcome to the Mindset Channel, where ancient wisdom meets practical strategies to move your life forward. My name's Jono.
And I am Chrome.
You know what I'm noticing lately, mate?
Yeah.
People are addicted to being affronted. All
Yeah.
right. And so, what is essentially, for everyone listening, does affronting actually mean? So, we'll define the word affronted. So, it essentially means to offend modesty or values. So, synonyms for affronted would be insulted or offended
Or triggered.
or triggered.
Yeah.
Triggers the one. And
Mm.
oh my goodness, could I go on about that? We'll talk about it later, but I always say something to people that there's no such thing as triggers.
Yeah.
There's just a lack of a coping strategy.
Yeah, right.
But people, like I say, are addicted to being affronted. It's like the smallest thing, like a variation of the wrong tone in your voice, a glance, a word, and it's like their whole sense of identity seems to become under siege.
Yeah, that's a twitch, right? The hit to the ego. It's like a fuse that gets lit and boom, they're gone.
Right.
Defending. Yeah. Explaining, reacting, being defensive, being offensive. But if you're living like that, are you actually free?
That's a good question. And I'd say most certainly not.
Yeah.
And that's what we're unpacking today. And this is actually a term that actually came to me from you, Crom,
Oh, yeah.
is Fudoshin,
Yes.
something that's been added to my vocabulary. But we've noticed how that actually, again, ancient wisdom meeting modern psychotherapeutic principles. So
Yeah.
Fudoshin is that samurai principle of the immovable mind.
Yeah.
You're not cold, you're not numb, you're not emotionless by any means,
Mm.
but steady, present, and powerful,
Yeah.
essentially unaffrontable.
Unaffrontable indeed. I think that we can blame this affrontedness because of social media. Um,
Oh, yeah.
big time because no one it- and guys, if you're listening, we're Gen X, right? So we're the quiet ones in out of all the generations. The boomers allowed, the millennials allowed, and the
Right.
and the Gen Zs are loud. The Gen X, our generation, you don't really notice us, don't you?
That's right.
Because we were raised to think on our own. We were raised to take it in the chin. We left our home in the morning on ride our bicycles, and we came home at night. You know,
Yeah, the only rule was you had to be home by the time the street lights came on or you got a
that's
walloping.
it. And we got that as well.
Yeah,
I,
right.
I think the modern term for that nowadays is neglect, you know.
I think neglect or child abuse, actually.
But we laugh at it because we became this generation, right?
Right.
We also come across as the generation that doesn't give a shit, right?
Although we do.
We do, we do. I mean, I'm very present in my with my family. I'm more present than my father with my family in
Yeah.
my family. I actually care about the environment, right?
Right.
Yet we don't go too far left where we started questioning, pronouns and shit like that, right?
Mm.
We're just nicely in the middle, right?
Right.
And unaffrontable, right? Not being easily triggered is, I think, one of the qualities we got.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I'm just speaking from experience here. In high school, it was a game to tease someone, to pick on someone and the first one that gets annoyed or gets angry loses.
Yeah, that was it. It was a very different thing. You have
Yeah.
a bigger, and look, no one should be bullied, don't get me wrong,
No,
but
no, no,
it's
no.
such a big topic these days. And like
Yeah.
when I was at school, just going back to my own experience, I was a
Yeah.
short, fat, red-headed kid. growing up with a bunch of young Gen Xers. How do you think that went?
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah.
But certainly gave me a thick skin. But sort of kids, I mean, again, I'm not suggesting that bullying is a good thing, but
Yeah.
um, it's very much more addressed these days. So kids don't have to deal with them, potentially don't develop as thick a skin.
That's it. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Gen X's like us have mental issues as well and all that stuff. But
Oh
that's
yeah.
we're moving away from the topic. We'll come back to the topic here, which is having Fudoshin or Fudoshin, right?
Mm,
And then that's an immovable mind. And we start with being unaffrontable.
yeah.
I love that idea because it's not that things don't hit you, it's that they don't own you, right? It's a choice. Your reaction is your responsibility, right?
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And I guess this ties in with something we discussed a lot here on the Mindset channel, being that you can't control what other people do or say.
That's it.
All you can control is your reaction to it. So you essentially get to pause and you do get to choose your response.
Yeah,
The world's always going to throw noise at you. All right. But for Doshin, that's like having an internal dojo.
yeah,
You train yourself inside so you're not flinching outside.
that's right. Most people think the calmest man in the room just got lucky, right?
Mm.
It's pure luck, that person is just born with it. No, 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 they're not born.
He was just born chilled out,
Yeah,
right?
exactly, right. But no, no, it doesn't work that way. That guy who's calm, he most likely trained for it through heartbreak, through failure, through that feeling of being deeply misunderstood and wanting to defend yourself. Yeah, but choosing not to.
Right, right. Choosing stillness, essentially, over being right.
That's a tough one. So I discovered this in 2022. I was saying the wrong word incorrectly, and the meaning was wrong. And to be honest, guys, I can't remember the word because it wasn't the word wasn't the problem, and the word wasn't the learning. The learning
Right.
was I've been saying I've been believing and thinking of the wrong thing for decades,
Yeah.
right? And then one day I stopped, and since then I embraced it. And the need to be right made me almost, it gave me a new superpower, really.
Right.
Yeah, because I don't need to defend my point of view anymore. And yes, please do defend your points of view, right? But I don't need to get into a fight because of a point of view, right? And remember, these were the lockdown years, and you remember the lockdown years. It was very chaotic,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And and that has to do with vaccines and all that crap. Anyway, I don't want to go in there and get banned by YouTube for
Don't
saying
go there,
those
mate. Don't
things.
go there.
Yeah. But I guess what I'm trying to say here is, that quiet guy that was there, he became that calm person through heartbreak, through failure, through feeling of being misunderstood and wanting to defend, and just chose not to.
Right. Yeah, I love that. It's interesting. I had this moment last week where someone took a bit of a jab at me. It was fairly subtle. And it was interesting. The old me from many years ago would have basically jumped up swinging
Yeah,
verbally.
right.
I would have clapped back pretty quickly. But I just stood there and paused and took a breath.
Yeah,
And look, I swear, mate, the not reacting was way more powerful than any comeback.
yeah.
Simply by not reacting, the person that would take a shot at me didn't really know where to go and they started to look really uncomfortable.
Yes, yes, I agree, I agree. Similarly, I was in Woolies here in Macquarie Park, right? And I was lining up to ask a question in one of those counters, And
Mm.
there was this guy in front of me. You know his trouble. And
Yeah, 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 yeah,
he,
yeah.
he just, you know, he's giving someone across the counter some grief. And he that bloke just quickly turned around and then boom, like jumped at me like face to face like this, right?
Oh, wow.
And I looked at him, I didn't react. And he goes, looked at me, tilted his head, and then walked away.
Because you didn't react.
I didn't react.
What's the fun if you don't get a reaction from
That's it.
someone?
I didn't even flinch. I just looked at him. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I can. You don't need to win every argument. You don't need to win arguments at all. You need to win your pace. That's the game. Every outburst is a gift of your power to someone else, really. Don't give it. It's spiritual aikido, if you must call it.
That's interesting. What do you mean by spirit? I know what you mean, but just explain what you mean by spiritual Aikido there.
That's right. So aikido is a martial art, right?
Mm.
You know that, right?
Yeah.
So the second part of the internal part of aikido is looking after your energy. That includes your intention, your peace, your internal. So
Yeah.
I'll give you some martial art differences. So judo, right, is the manipulation of your body so you can use somebody else's energy,
Right.
right? That's why judo is, it's still the same thing. You put your foot there, you trip them, you throw them. That's ju, yeah, which is a gentle way, which is mechanical.
Mm.
Aikido is the internal energy within. So
Ah.
you don't need to trip them, you just need to feel where they are, and you use that intention or that momentum. I mean, imagine using someone's momentum.
In a sense, so essentially in this, by not reacting,
Yeah,
you're essentially using their negative energy against them.
correct.
All right. All right. So
It's like
this is,
by not reacting, the spiritual aikido here, for example, is by not reacting, it's like letting them walk into a door, right?
yeah.
Because you're so you're Fudoshin, you're immovable, right? So boom, it's like running into a door, bang, and they fall, right?
Right. Right. All right. So listen, can we talk about the idea of affrontedness for a second?
Yeah,
Because it's really sneaky.
yeah,
It essentially wears a mask of um, I'm just being honest,
yeah,
or say I have a right to feel this way.
yeah. Totally, mate. It feels justified, hey. But
Mm.
most of the time, it's just your ego, our ego saying, "How dare you not see me the way I want to be seen?" Or along the lines of, "How dare the world not arrange itself to my expectations?"
Right, right,
Yeah,
right. And essentially that's suffering.
yeah, absolutely, man.
Essentially, you're just causing yourself suffering. And I'm also picking up with that. That also ties in with a bit of a sense of entitlement.
Yes,
You know what I
yes,
mean? Like, I deserve to be seen as exactly as I see myself.
yeah,
So, essentially to suffer less, expect less.
yeah,
Flow like water, not like fire.
yeah,
Water doesn't get affronted by the rocks that gets in its way. It moves around them. It's interesting. I use that particular example of flowing water
yeah.
in my hypnotherapy sessions quite a lot.
Oh, wow.
And I essentially explain that when people are feeling a bit stuck, quite often it's because they are overwhelmed at the task at hand.
Mm.
And they're sort of looking at the end result and they forget all the steps to get there. Is essentially the problem. And they get stuck by the overwhelm of the end result that they're looking for.
Yeah.
But I like to explain to them in a hypnotherapy session that, water didn't carve out the landscape in a day.
Mm.
It's taken millions of years of gently flowing water, to carve out, some of the most significant land formations that we've got.
Yeah.
And it's just about taking the simple steps one at a time, which is one of the things we go on about a lot here.
We every episode we say that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guys, if you're listening now, there's a reason we say that in every single episode. Yeah, because it works, and it's, if there's one thing you can pick it up, that would be it, right?
Right. It's super important.
Yeah. And the people who move like that, right? You feel them, right? They
Yeah.
they don't need to perform, right? Presence is louder than performance. Embody this. Don't announce it, if that made sense.
Yeah, exactly. That almost speaks to action over words.
Yeah,
Yeah. Interesting. So I reckon affrontedness is where a lot of our energy leaks out.
yeah.
You could be purposefully building something and focused, but one comment, one rejection, one imagined slight,
Mm,
and people are spiraling.
yeah.
The days lost defending something that really wasn't significant enough to need defending in the first place.
Mm,
And I think this actually ties in with our episode from a couple of weeks ago on letting go. Now,
yes.
you don't have to become stuck in place because you've chosen to be offended.
Yeah,
Let it go. Keep moving forward for you.
that's it. Imagine, let's say, 10,000 years ago when we were hunters and gatherers, right? And imagine a human being, if they took on this affrontedness, is easily triggered, and they were in the wilderness, and then the weather changed. They called it the weather shit. It's almost like offending them.
Mm,
Or there's a saber-toothed tiger who wants to eat them and growled at them. What are they going to do? Get offended,
yeah,
or or just keep calm so you don't get eaten, right?
right.
Yeah. So this is the thing, and that criticisms only cut deep when you sharpen the blade yourself. Yeah.
Nice. I love that.
Yeah. The truth is, the affronted mind is an untrained mind. It's like open wound, really, that sticks the wind, that thinks the enemy is the wind. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And a lot of this, affrontedness can come from people referencing back to their past as well.
Mm,
They may have had a situation that negatively affected them in the past, and they're kind of on high alert for something that looks similar to it.
yeah.
And when they come across something that looks a bit similar to it, they react. So, anyway, so how do you train it?
Yeah.
How do you go from reaction to response, from reacting to responding?
Yeah. Firstly, I just want to add to that. The question is, how do you train it? The first training is stop feeling or listening to the American story, which is, I have the right to feel this way. I have the
Right.
right to speak. I have the right to be seen or heard,
Yeah.
right? Yes, that works in America because it's in their constitution, which is funny because it's an amendment, right? There's a constitution and there's an amendment. They amended it, right? They changed it,
Yeah.
and it became a right. In
Yeah.
Australia, we don't really have a Bill of Rights. We don't.
Mm.
And what we have here is we do have rights, but the rights in Australia is bound with duty,
Right.
right? So you have the right to speak, but you have the duty not to cause trouble.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'll start there, right? So the day you stop feeling that you are entitled to be heard, or other people has to be behaving the way you want it to be, then that's the good starts. And then you
Mm.
can start to rehearse stillness.
Mm.
You breathe through discomfort instead of acting on it. As in, when I think one of the reasons we procrastinate is I think we chatted about this, right? I
Yeah.
think one of the reasons we procrastinate or we get addicted to things is we 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 are avoiding feeling something we don't want to feel,
Right.
right? So when you're feeling that discomfort, learn to breathe through it, right?
Yeah.
To be honest, learn how to handle it. Yeah.
Yeah.
and rehearse your calm before the storm, right? Mental preparation is your spiritual armor.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It's a bit like going to a mental gym every day.
Yeah,
Just by not reacting. This is where some of the breathing and anchoring and pausing techniques that we've discussed in previous episodes really come into it as well.
that's right.
The ability to pause is a learned skill.
Yes, exactly. Responding is strength, right? Reacting is surrender.
Exactly.
Yeah. Fudoshin or Fudoshin doesn't mean you don't feel. Of course, you're gonna feel something, right? It means you just don't hand over the keys to someone else,
I
right?
love that. Absolutely love that. So you're not giving someone else the control over your emotional state.
That's it. Like
Yeah.
I think we chatted about it a few days ago, a few episodes ago. Whoever gets triggered easily is easily manipulated.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And like, here's a thought that's been anchoring me, recently.
Yeah.
Okay. So you become untouchable when your peace is no longer negotiable.
Yes.
All right. You make
No.
that decision that your internal peace, the peace of your
Yeah.
internal world, is no longer negotiable. I'm
Yeah.
not going to be affected by the outside world. And that hits differently when you've spent years letting people rent space in your head.
Yeah. Damn. That is so good. That is so and unapologetic peace, right? And get this. When you carry that kind of stillness, people feel it, right?
Yeah.
Not because you tell them, but because they can't rattle you. Yeah.
Mm,
Let them wonder how you stay composed. Yeah.
yep.
Mystery seriously is magnetic. And I think that's one of the reasons a lot of my colleagues and peers lean to me during when it's crunch time, because I'm not going to go, lose my shit, right?
Yeah.
You can think clearly and keep yourself together. Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And the person that does sort of stay calm in the room is the person that will attract people. And I've noticed that throughout my own life. I used to have a very short fuse.
Yeah.
Um, and used to almost take pride in my short fuse. You know what I mean?
Mm.
I used to really take pride in it to some extent. But when it comes to crunch time, you're kind of like good if someone needs a hammer.
Yeah.
But when it comes to crunch line, your time, you don't really give a lot of benefit. Then people, for the important things, go to the person that can keep themselves maintained in a better way. So listen, can we talk about silence for a second?
Okay, let's go.
Okay. So look, I've been learning that the less I speak, the more I actually see.
Nice.
When I don't rush to defend or to correct or impress.
Yeah.
I actually start to understand what's really happening. People get
Mm.
caught in this loop of almost waiting for their turn to speak.
Oh yeah, you
And
can
they're
you can
not they're not taking in what anyone else is saying. They're waiting for their opportunity to impress.
yes. You can almost see because they started to breathe in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You're
yeah,
gonna
yeah, yeah,
speak and you're
yeah.
still
Exactly
talking,
right.
they're starting to heave and like, oh, they're gonna say something. Okay. They're like, but silence reveals everything, right?
Yeah,
I think we were also talking about speech here, how to speak properly. In case you're wondering, this is a little digress, right? And that is instead of saying where you're thinking and there's a sound to your thinking, zip, quiet, just don't say anything when you're thinking.
yeah,
And silence does reveal everything. Silence is not passive. I think silence is, oh, you can use it as actively, right? It, especially if you use it as a strategy. It creates space for truth, and
yeah,
that's power.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. And that's essentially the death of affrontedness,
Yeah.
right? Because when you don't react, You're not playing the game anymore.
Yeah,
It's let your silence expose their noise.
that's it. I mean, okay, look at Queen Elizabeth. May her soul rest in peace.
Mm,
Every single video or event, most videos and events or videos where she's in, right? She was listening,
right.
right? And you can watch all these people clamor around her, right? And as soon as she says something, people like, what did she say? I mean, she's the queen, I get it, right?
Right.
But doesn't that just show you that with silence, you are the king, you are the queen of your own, sovereignty, isn't it?
Right. Right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
And
Yeah.
and let's not forget, yeah, most criticisms reveal more about the critic than the criticized, right? It's almost like a projection, really.
Mm.
And that one saves me every week.
Yeah, it's interesting. Quite often, and I see this all the time, in sessions I do with people, it's interesting when there's someone that's really affronted by someone else.
Yeah.
Quite often, the thing that's really affronting them in the behavior of the other person is a direct reflection of something they're actually doing.
Oh,
It's
wow.
something that they actually don't like about themselves,
Yeah.
and it's being reflected back to them.
Mm.
Yeah. So,
I
so
suppose, sorry, man. I just want to add to that. That makes sense because they don't like that about themselves, right?
yeah,
So they'll probably project that on someone else and told that person off because
yeah,
they couldn't tell
exactly
themselves
right. They're
off.
having their
Yeah.
own negative behavior they don't like sit
Mm.
in front of them, and rather than admit that it's their thing, it's easier to sort of point it out in somebody else.
Mm. If you're listening right now and you feel rather reactive on this topic and thin skinned, right? Constantly emotional debt, you're not broken.
Right.
You're just untrained. And this mindset, literally, Fudoshin, Shin means mind, right? This particular mindset called Fudoshin, right? Or Fudoshin, it's not a talent, it's practice. And every
Mm.
time you choose stillness over drama, presence over performance, peace over right, or being right, you're training.
That's right. It's like every calm pause
Yeah.
is a rep, like you
Mm.
do in the gym. Every
Nice.
silence is actually a win. And every moment that you're not affronted, you're essentially reclaiming your energy. You're reclaiming your clarity, your own actual sovereignty.
Yeah, that's it. You stop being a puppet. You become the author.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And we are, in fact, all the author of our own book. Each day we get up, we've got a blank page.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what pages have come before, they've already been written.
Yeah,
If
nice.
you want, you can tear them out and throw them away.
Yes, yes.
Every day you have a new blank page
Yeah.
to go with. All right. And we'll go deeper into this in part two. We're going to end up talking about pressure,
Yeah.
criticism, control, that quiet dominance that comes from having genuine inner mastery, for the better way to put it.
Yeah. And but before we close this one, mate, I've got one final question for this episode anyway for you.
Okay, go on. What have we got?
If someone is listening to this right now, caught in the habit of reacting, leaking energy, constantly getting offended, triggered, and affronted, what
Mm.
would you say to them right now to help them shift?
Oh, not to put me on the spot or anything. So, all right. So, all right. Why don't we do this?
Yeah,
Why don't we do this? Okay. So, everyone out there, just close your eyes now. As long as you're in a place to do so, just close your eyes. And just imagine this. So essentially, you're standing in the center of a storm. You're not running, you're not resisting, you're still, and you're breathing. And around you, there's chaos, there's noise, there's opinions, there's pressure. But inside you, there's silence. And you remember now, you don't owe the world a reaction. You don't have to answer every invitation to engage in conflict. You can actually just be. Because power doesn't live in the loud. It lives in the still. I want to say that again. Power doesn't live in the loud. It lives in the still, in the calm, in the unaffronted. And the moment you decide, and I mean truly decide, that your peace is no longer negotiable, you stop needing permission to actually be whole. So breathe. Feel yourself return to your center, right here, right now. Unaffected, unshaken, completely still. And this is Fudoshin, the immovable mind. And it's not some mystical force that some people are born with and some people aren't born with. It's something you train. Every moment you choose stillness over drama, clarity over chaos, peace over performance. And from this place, you don't just survive the storm, you actually lead from within it.
That is the work.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And that work can start with as little as one breath, one pause, one decision to no longer be available for emotional chaos. And for anyone out there that has a habit, and people generally do know when they are too easily baited, when they're too easily affronted. For those of you that are out there that have been in the habit of that, just because you run that behavioral pattern today does not mean you have to change to run that pattern tomorrow. And again, it can start with one single pause where you would have previously reacted. And that pause can start with one single breath.
And whatever you're building, whatever you're dreaming, whatever you're here to become, get started, keep going.
It's exactly it. It all happens. Movement happens. Moving forward happens. One single step at a time.
If you found this video useful, please press the subscribe button and click that the notification bell, and share a comment what you think about this video. Share in the comments as well how you think about being affronted or how you can beat being triggered, right? Once again, this is Crom from the Mindset Channel.
And this is Jono from the Mindset Channel.
Until next time we meet, bye for now.
Bye for now, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.